Hey rugbies. So another week down in the Rugby Championship, and it's time for my week 2 review of the Pumas Wallabies game. Um, it was a little bit of a worry. Uh, the Wallabies lost the same game last year, so yeah, it was a little bit hard to gauge where they were going to go this last week. Um, the Argentinians are not a team to be taken lightly. They are the relatively new boys of the rugby championship, but they're kind of a team. I think that we've sort of struggled against. We never quite get away from them in terms of points, even though this game did end up being a little bit favourable in the scoreline to the Wallabies in the end. Yeah, there were 7 changes from the team that took on the Springboks last week. I think that had something to do. Obviously, we need to experiment, and I know why it's been done, but it does change the dynamic in the team, and it obviously with the travel and also probably limited training sessions, it did have an effect on the defense because I noticed the defense was lacking from last week. The Argentinians made a lot of breaks and were beating the first tackle, so that was something that was a little bit disappointing because I thought the defensive effort from the Wallabies against the Springboks was really good. Again, the scrum, I made mention of it last week when I was previewing this game, that it was going to get tested against the Argentinians, and it really was. They did bully us a little bit. They did get a couple of penalties off us. I think the reason for it was we went in for early engage a few times, and I think when that happens, the team that is doing that, which was the Wallabies in this case, they are trying to establish a dominance over the opposition. So yeah, I think that's why the Wallabies got penalised for that, and just trying to overcompensate in a way. Just on that, I think going back to the tackle situation or the defence situation, I noticed that both teams were lacking a little bit of energy. I'm not sure with the travel and all that sort of stuff had a bit to do with it, and also team changes might also have a bit to do with it. But yeah, the energy and intensity was lacking a little bit in both teams. Another worrying sign for the Wallabies was that for some reason they got impatient very quickly. The first maybe 7 minutes or so were really good, and then things took a bit of a turn. They went a bit pear-shaped. Started with Izzy Folau running into the back of Nicolas Sanchez, and that was one of 2 penalties that were reversed in the first half. The second one was Will Skelton, and I think well, firstly, I don't know why you'd be getting impatient after only 7 minutes of a game, but I think the Wallabies were in the opposition 22 for a while, and their pressure wasn't turning into points. And I think maybe that combined with, the Argentinian, shall I call them tactics, brought the Wallabies down to their level, and they started to get frustrated. And yeah, it's a bit of a strange one when they need to be a lot more patient in that respect. Yeah, then they scored the try in the 17th minute, which looked like a really good move again. Nice to see Joe Tamani getting a run there on the left-hand side. Yeah, it was a fairly disjointed sort of first half, and probably game. It didn't feel as intense as the game last week. The goal kicking is of concern. I think that's something that Wallaby supporters and commentators are trying to, or getting their message across, that yeah, whatever we're doing isn't working. I don't think that the Wallabies have a kicking coach. It's really strange because when Bernard Foley was coming into the team, I thought that was one of the areas that would improve. But I think you can see the difference between having Andrew Mehrtens as a mentor the Waratahs and not having him there has had an impact. Again, it's something that we can work on and improve. But just to give you some statistic, so far in the Rugby Championship, the All Blacks are kicking at 75% and the Springboks are kicking at 80%, and we're around about just over the 55%. I think it's 56% that we're kicking at. And while we still have another couple of games to go, one more game to go in the Rugby Championship, the Bledisloe, and then the game against the USA, it is obviously all gearing up to what's going to happen at the World Cup. And when games begin to get tight and you have points on offer, your shots on goal need to count, and they will get you over the line in the end. So whatever needs to be done for the Wallabies, if they need to drag a kicking coach from somewhere, it needs to be done like yesterday, because we can't be leaving points like that on the field. The breakdown was actually much improved from last week, which was good. And the line-out was still really solid too, so that was really good as well. Again, our bench players made a huge impact when they came onto the field. The scrummaging actually improved when the front row got replaced. So when Kepu, Tatafu Polota-Nau and Scott Sio came onto the field, the scrum looked a lot more solid. And yeah, we were the ones getting penalties, which was great. Yeah, I mentioned at the intro for this post that the scoreline blew out a little bit in favour of the Wallabies at the end of the game. But I mean, it was nice to get a bonus point, because bonus points have been few and far between for the 4-try bonus point for us. So that was really good to see. A couple of concerns that came out of the game. Matt To'omua going down in the first half. I haven't really seen anything much of his condition in the past week, so hopefully he's on the improve. I know he's had issues with head knocks this year, and it's unfortunate because we really need him at 12. I think he's really good in defence, and he runs straight at the line, opposition line, so we need him there. Michael Hooper, at first I didn't see the incident on the field, and then obviously with his hearing, and he got the 1 week ban, but I just heard this morning that that SANZAAR are actually going to appeal their own decision, which is a little bit strange, but yeah, we'll see the outcome of that. I think they want to increase it to 2 weeks instead of 1. I thought he was a bit lucky to get away with 1 in the first place, because when I saw the footage, I didn't think that he'd be playing against the All Blacks, but we'll see how it goes. And a little bit of a sideshow after the game, obviously the whole Quade Cooper tweet. And yeah, I just don't understand with celebrities, sports people and social media, is they don't quite get the concept of the fact that it's social media and people are going to see what you write. And yeah, I know that you're human and you have feelings and whatever, but you just have to know when to zip it, because it just creates all sorts of problems for people. And he hasn't been going well, as I mentioned last week, and it's just another thing that adds to it. So he also got that yellow card in the second half when he coat hangered that Argentinian guy. But I don't want this to be like a dump on Quade Cooper section, but yeah, it's a little bit of a concern. What I'd usually be doing is, of course, is previewing the game for this week, but of course there are no games this week, unfortunately, and there's no cricket on either. But the Bledisloe Cup game being as prestigious as it is, I will be doing a whole video or post for that. So yeah, that'll be coming along in the next week or so. And until then, see you later.